So now let's talk a little bit about Spiral Architect.
Spiral Architect live was brilliant to play. I played with, I had the hats, and we had these huge orchestrational things, boom, boom, bum, 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 bum. So I just loved everything about Spiral Architect. It was one of my favourite songs at the time when we wrote it. Spiral Architect was, I thought, was very adventurous musically. I love how we had this a rock song that was that had almost classical production. Boom, 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 boom. We had the timpani, which pronounced the and accented with Tony, boom, boom, and Terry's bass. It's something about it. It's very gothic to me. It's just absolutely pinnacle metal. I think what's beautiful about it is that it can still be metal. However, I can feel how our band was changing, but it never lost its bottom roots. It never lost its roots where it came from, which is this very hard and unforgiving sound. And it still kept all of that encapsulated in Spiral Architect. Lyrically, it kept it intact. I love the fact that the band would take risks and would be orchestrational,
right,
with this song. I think that there are pauses, there are slower parts where we became as bold as to write for all the things upon this earth, or whatever the lyrics were at that time. I must be honest, if I'm going to tell everybody's secrets, I wrote those lyrics myself, and they made it into the song. And I'm not saying that to embolden myself. I couldn't really give a fuck, but I'm just saying that the way that it all fitted together was for me capsulized a time and a place where I think we were all travelling through. You have to remember that this was about the third or fourth album, and we were very tired. We had been playing non-stop around the world. We hadn't stopped. We hadn't taken a break except to use the bathroom and have lunch. And other than that, we just kept rocking and rolling. I just love this song. I love it because I played it because it's one of my favourite songs.
Was that a song that you would play live a lot?
Yes. Yeah, we played it live. It was in the show for a long time. Yeah.
With all of the changes and the movement changes and all of that, was that a difficult song to play live?
No, it was great to play live. It was exceptionally wonderful to play live. For me, I just played hats, to start it out, and then just moved around the drum kit. There's plenty of room for me. Right. And Geezer was making huge pronunciations of bass, almost orchestrally. And Tony was just like, he had so much room to do all kinds of things. He was playing almost acoustically but electronically, and at the same time he was still playing huge power chords. It had everything, and Ozzy's lamenting voice capsulized the whole song. It's a brilliant song. I love that song. We allowed jam on the song a little bit. We did that with other songs. We're having a conversation right now about how much we moved that around and how much improvisation we put into the song. But sometimes Tony would start it differently. We would have a segment where he would play a classical piece before it. And that could change overnight.
It left a lot of room for improvisation.
Sometimes at the very beginning, but in the song itself, we would have to play tight. Sometimes on the very end, we would jam out on the end. So that was another improvisation place where we could do. Even on the record, we improvised. That was improvisation at the very end of the song. That was in when we recorded it. But we actually had to play our parts as they were originally played.
Right.
But there's room for improvisation. Yeah, yeah.
Were there other songs that you had in the Sabbath sets that were really open to improvisation?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Which one or two songs that you really could show some improvisation in the live show?
Well, most of our show was improvisation when I think about it. As you know, Tony would go into big lead guitar solos. That was one of the things of the show, sometimes up to 40 minutes. At first we were doing like nearly 2.5 hour sets,
right,
or even longer. So it wasn't unusual back then. A guitar solo was a big thing to look forward to.
Yeah.
It still is. It was difficult to put into a song where we knew where we were going in all the parts, so where improvisation wasn't really allowed. Mm-hmm. But we did have songs where, and I'm trying to think of them, and my memory is failing me. We did have songs where we were allowed to fall out, where the song would break off, and where we allowed drum solos or guitar solos or bass solos, depending on what that might be.
There's some bands out there that they get out on a stage and they play the record that they made in the studio note for note, and it's boring as hell, to me at least.
Oh, we changed up things all the time like that.
Yeah,
it was almost impossible. I never played Paranoid the same way twice. I wouldn't know how to, But I try to stay in the pocket on most of the stuff as a drummer.
Yeah,
I try to keep it in the pocket as like how we originally did it, But some nights it's just like, what the hell? I'm going to put this in,
That's a jazz musician for you, right?
Well, rock and roll musician.
Yeah, that too.